I'm going to do a quick little impromptu video here today. Try and help out a few folks with the topic of making footprints in KiCAD. Sometimes you get these parts and you find out very quickly that there is no footprint associated with it. And so you are very likely will go online, and if you're like me, you'll look all over the place until eventually you find a library with the part that you're looking for, and then you try it, and then after you've put everything, you gotten your boards made and you receive them, and then you go and find out that there was something wrong with the part. At least that's what's happened to me in more than one occasion. So after dealing with this sort of issue for a few different times, I decided that it was probably better to make my own footprints. And, and after giving it a go, it turns out it is actually a very, very easy thing to do. So I want to share with you guys sort of my approach to dealing with this issue, and hope that this might be beneficial for you guys. So before we get started, there's a few things that you're going to need. And actually, there's exactly 3 things that you need to be successful at this. First thing is you need a part. Okay, so whatever a part. So today we're gonna look at this Donkey Kong Jack. And we'll make a footprint for this thing and maybe a few other things. The other thing that is greatly recommended is that you obtain the data sheet for the part that you're trying to create the footprint for. And the reason for it is because in the data sheet, you will find all the physical dimensions and specifications for the part that you're trying to create a footprint for. So this is essential. And then the last thing, which is also very useful, is if you haven't already, pick up a set of calipers, and these are really, really cheap. I think I bought this many years ago for like $10-15 in the US. Here is an AliExpress. This is actually looks like the same version of the one that I am using. $22 New Zealand, which is about $15 US. Okay. So first off, when you start KiCAD, you'll see there's a symbol editor and a footprint editor. We're going to be dealing with the footprint editor today, but the symbol editor works very, very similar. So you can also make your own symbols if you're missing a part, say, for example, a microcontroller, right? This is how you would do it as well. So the first thing we want to do is we'll launch the footprint editor. And I think maybe this is why people get confused, because you see this, everything is grayed out. So that's because you haven't created a footprint yet. So in order, you can't even import anything. It's because there's nothing created. If you haven't already created your own library, that's where I would start. So you go into New Library, which is up here at the top under File. You have 2 options. If you have something that you're never going to use again and it's only for that project, then keep it under Project Scope. But if you want to reuse this, and this is the power of this method here, is you make it global. And you just name it something like library. And I usually put something on, before the name, just so that it pops up to the top or the bottom of the list. Makes it easier to search, but any name will do. Once you create it, see, like underscore shows at the bottom here. So now this library is available for me to save footprints. I'm gonna go ahead and start with a new footprint. So create footprint is it's another way that you can create footprints, but this is done through a wizard. I never use it. I haven't had any need for this yet, so I'm not going to go through this one. So we go into new footprint. First thing that comes out is you want to enter a name for the footprint. So this is, Jack. I'm just going to call it Thunk Jack. And you can select 3 types, right? So this one is going to be through hole, but you can create SMD parts components as well as other. And other will be useful for things like, say you want to add graphics, and maybe we'll do that as well. So you can create a library of graphical components that you could use, say, for like your front panels, right? Or even the holes that you use in your front panels, like you can pre-make them with the dimensions that you need, and then when it's time to create your front panels, you don't have to muck around with any of that stuff. You just pick the part, and you know it's going to work every time, right? Because you've tested it. So again, that's the power of using this method. Okay, so let's go ahead and create this through hole footprint. Hold on, my cat. Hi. All right, so we have this reference here, and if we look back at, we already can tell a few things about it. So for one is we know that it is 9 millimeters wide, and we can confirm by using our caliper. So sure enough, yeah, that's 9 millimeter wide, and then 10.5, and then there's a little bit extra, which looks like. So we can set that aside, go back to KiCAD. So courtyard, start with this. So this is going to be about 10 by 8, 10, 13. So it's about 10 wide and 13. So this part doesn't have to be perfect. This is just the courtyard, right? So okay, and then I'm just gonna put it there. So this is what I'm working with, and I already know that the other dimensions, right? So 9 is what I need to go across. So maybe I just start with then it's 0. If you press space bar, it will 0 your counter right here, which is really useful, right? Because then you can just say, okay, that's 0, and I need to go 9 millimeters this way. There, 10. So 9 millimeters, right? So that's my first marker. That's the width, okay? And actually this should be in some kind of user layer. So I'm gonna move that one, put it somewhere over here. And then go over there. Okay, so now from here, I'm gonna 0, and then we're gonna go to 10.5. 10.5. Okay. So that's the total size of this. So I should be able to now create see how it snaps? It's because I'm on the same layer as what these markers are. So if I go, all right, go from there until that snap right there. And if we look at this, this should add up. Okay. So this is the body. That's the body of it. And I really, you know, I want this to be in the front silk screen because this will give me a representation of the part, you know, when I lay it down. So let's move it and put this back so it's nice and centered. Again, this one as well. This circle part is at 4.5 and then the middle, okay? So I found that the easiest way to find the middle of something is just to make another square because it'll snap. And see how it snaps? So I know that's my middle part, right? So, and I put this in user 4 again just because that's not going to show. Then I need to measure from the top to here exactly 6 millimeters. So this gives me this is the device, right? So I know that there is a jack over here and another, sorry, a pad over here and another pad over here and then another pad over here. And those pads, you know, let's go ahead and save this. And it'll ask you for the library. You select the library and then save. And now we already have it right here, but it doesn't have any pads yet because we're not done. Because what we need to do is, I'm just gonna close this for a second. Okay, so let's say I want to add a jack. All right, so this jack. So I need to make sure that the pads, the numbering on the pads matches the number on the symbol, right? So 1 looks like it's being used for the ground connection. 2 is the pin, the tip, and 3 is the sleeve or the breakaway, you know, contact here. Go back to our footprint editor. Let's get a footprint again. And now we're gonna add some pads. Okay, so this button right here, that's the pad. So we say add pad, and we know that 1 is the ground. So that's gonna be somewhere over here, okay? So right now we don't know, so I'm just gonna place it there. 2 is the tip, and I believe the tip usually is up here. I'm gonna double check, and then 3 is the, that one, the middle one. So let's just double check. So 1, yep. Okay. And this is where I'm going to anchor the center of that pad. Okay, so now I can just hover over the pad, hit M, that's going to give me the center, and then I can use my little guides here to put that right smack in the middle. Okay, and because I have this one right here as well, I can do the same on this side. Okay, so now I no longer need these guides, because I have my footprint. Okay, and you know, just so that, let's just make this a little bit smaller. And now the pads, you hit edit. Let's move the courtyard a little bit out. Edit. Now we can define the, you know, so this is just a position on the XY grid that you have for the editor, right? So we're not going to be touching this. We've already placed them where they are, so you leave them there. You can change or rearrange the pad numbers by just giving it a different pad number, or you can use a letter. The pads can also have letters, and sometimes you'll find some symbols that use letters instead of numbers. This is where you would change that to match, okay? You have a few options. You can create circular pads or you can create rectangular pads. This one we know is for ground, so I'm going to make it a rectangular pad. And for the hole, I know from the data sheet that it needs to be at least 1.6. No, it's 0.6. And I'm just gonna double check. Actually, no, they are 1. Over here is if you have more than 2 layers, right? Like you can select which layers this pad has connectivity to. Like say if you had any layers that were in between the board, you can select or deselect those as well. Since this is only going to be for a 2-layer board, we're just going to leave them like that. Okay. All right. KiCAD's not going to like that these things are touching, so I'm just going to, rather than making, breaking this up, and I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger because it doesn't really matter. That's just to orientate ourselves. And then I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller just so it doesn't touch the pad. And that's it. That's really all you need, right? So then you can just, put your reference stuff wherever you want it. And save it. And that's all there's to it. Now that it's saved, I can go back and, we can even see what this looks like. Let's make this smaller. So that's what that would look like there. And that's the back, right? Close. And then close this. Let's go back to here. And we could assign that footprint to this. Okay. And, just to see whether or not this will work, I'm just going to tie everything to ground so that we can do a continuity test here. Not a continuity test, rules check. Okay. Annotate it. Rules check. No errors. That's a good sign. So there you have it. That's how you make a footprint in KiCAD. Now, this is not the only thing that we might want to do footprints for. So let me show you just an example here of how you can utilize footprints. This element right here, so let's select footprints only. That is a footprint. So I can just go add, and there it is. So you could, you can pre-make these things. And to make something like this, that's really easy. Let me show you how that is done. So let's close this as well. And let's bring back the footprint editor. All right, so we go new. Okay, and going to select other because that's kind of what it is. So we have this thing. And, you know, for graphics, I don't want this to show, so I'm just going to delete it. I don't want that to show. I'm just going to delete it. Actually, this needs to stay, but the other ones doesn't matter because this is not going to show. But the reference on the silk screen, I don't want that. So now that once you create the footprint and you're actually working on a footprint, then you can import just like you can in the PCB editor, right? Like you can import graphics. So I'm gonna import something else. Let's see, how about, let's get Buddy in there. So let's import Buddy. And so this one I also want it to be always in the mask because I like it shiny. So I'm just gonna place it in there, right? And yeah, maybe call it whatever, save it. Buddy. And save it to that library maybe. Okay. And there it is. So now that it's saved, I can just add it. Just hit A. There. There's Buddy. And you have the footprint. Okay. You can add as well cutouts. So let me show you some other footprints that I've created. Let's go back to the footprint editor. Start changes. So let's see, here's a jack, for example. These are holes. Where am I? Holes, jack hole. So here's a one that I created. It's just a hole, right? So if I go look at this, this is what that looks like. And here's another one. This one has a little exposed copper, which I like to use on jacks that are outputs. So, you know. Here is another one. Show you another example. And then we'll call it a day. So this one I use for knobs, and you know, it just gives me kind of like a nice visual thing around it. Here's one I use for encoders, you know. So yeah, it's pretty useful stuff, right? Like this is what that looks like once it's on the board, and then I don't have to worry about, you know, measuring anything. And the good thing is because I did this centered around this axis here, when I select it, when I hit M on this footprint, it's gonna select it from the middle of the footprint, so it's gonna be really easy to place on the board. So yeah, that was a very long-winded tutorial on making your own footprints. Hopefully this didn't scare you off too much and that you find it useful. And I'm gonna edit this. I think you guys get the idea. Yeah, if you have any questions or comments or would like to know more about this stuff, let me know. I'll be more than happy to help you along in your journey. Okay, till next time, stay creative, and see you guys later. Bye.